Hello everybody and welcome to another Baldur's Gate 3 discussion video. Today, in this video, I'm going to be ranking every single companion in the game. Now there are 10 total permanent companions in the game, and I'm going to be ranking all of them. And before I get into the video, make sure to comment down below if you like these types of videos, and if you have any suggestions moving forward with any of these types of videos. I would love to hear your suggestions, and I would love to see your comments on this because I want to keep doing these videos, and I want to keep seeing what you guys are saying, so. But anyway, let's get right into my ratings. So in last place, my 10th favorite, least favorite, whatever you want to call it, is Lae'zel. Now, I know, so objectively, Lae'zel is not bad. She's not a bad character. She is a good character. I mean, she is well written. You know, they did put a lot of effort into it. And her character really ties into the story of the game. And I love that they tie her story into the game so much. You know, she just feels very involved in the story. But unfortunately, they wrote her to be insufferable. And they did a good job at that because that's what she is. She's just, I can't stand her. She is just very abrasive. In the later games, she's a little better, you know, when she's not so much up Vlaakith's butt. But in the beginning, she's just so stubborn and arrogant, condescending. And I don't put her in my party because everything, just they're negative. She always comments negatively on everything, and it really gets to me. It's just, I hate having that negative energy in my party, and while she's a fighter and she has really good combat skills, I just don't like having her in my party because she's just so negative and so abrasive, and I just don't like that. I don't like having her in my party. Again, they wrote her well, you know, but I just hate the way she is. So, I mean, good job, Larian. You did a good job on the character. I just don't like the character. Next up, in 9th place, is Gale. Now, there's nothing wrong with Gale. I mean, that's it. Like, there's nothing wrong with Gale. There's nothing particularly good about Gale either. I can't say too many good things about Gale, other than the fact that he's good in combat. I mean, he's a wizard, and wizards are pretty good in combat. They have some really potent spells, some really good subclasses with it. Like, for instance, I really enjoy the evocation subclass, where, I mean, you know, I can make it to where my party members don't take any damage from my evocation spells, so there's that. But other than him being very viable in combat, I can't say too much else about him. I just find his story about being an ambitious wizard just trying to shag Mystra is just, it doesn't particularly intrigue me. And he just seems kind of boring. I mean, like I said, it's just kind of like the wizard vibe, the ambitious wizard. It's just, it doesn't do it for me. He's just kind of there. You know, there's nothing super special. There's nothing really that grabbed my attention about him. So he's just kind of there, in my opinion. And don't even get me started on the bit with Elminster, because Elminster talks way too long and so slow, and I hate the beginning of Act 2 every time because I have to talk to Elminster and do that part of Gale's story. And it's mandatory a part of Gale's story. You can't skip it. Moving on from Gale, I have in 8th place, Minsc. Now, I honestly really like Minsc. You know, he's a great character. He brings some really good humor to it. I love the addition of him, and so I hate to put him in 8th place, but in my opinion, the only reason he's so low on the list is because they introduce him and they put him into your party so late into the game that you can't even really, like, get a connection with him. I don't have time to properly get attached to him and his character, and I love Minsc and Boo. Boo is so cute and so amazing, and I just wish that I had some more time to really attach myself to him and use him in my party and use him in combat and for dialogue and roleplay scenarios, but he just isn't in the game long enough for me to put him higher on the list. I mean, he comes in and then you beat the game within 10 hours later, so it almost feels pointless to pursue him. I kind of just pursue him because I really enjoy the character, and it also makes Jaheira happy. But other than that, I mean, if I didn't have those reasons, then I kind of wouldn't really bother with it. I love and adore the character, but I just wish he was more impactful in the story. So that's my opinions on Minsc. Now in 7th place is Halsin. He is very influential to the story in Act 2, with the Shadow Cursed lands. You know, you can't really heal the Shadow or cleanse the Shadow Cursed lands without Halsin. He needs to be there, and so he's very pivotal to the story there. And in Act 1, when dealing with Kaga, you can deal without him. You can deal with Kaga without him. It's just a little bit easier to deal with Kaga when you have a Halsin in your party, or Halsin with you and on your side. But after Act 2, he kind of just falls off. He doesn't do too much in Act 3. I mean, his story pretty much ends with the Shadow Cursed lands, and so it feels a little bit disconnected in Act 3. So you have Halsin in your party, and he's all big thing in Act 1, and he's very involved in Act 2, and then Act 3, he's really not just a part of the story anymore. So you kind of don't really want him in your party as much anymore because he doesn't have as many role play scenarios. He doesn't have as many combat utility. He just kind of is there for Act 3. So I have him at 7th because he kind of falls off after his use is up. And you know, he is a solid character. Like, I do like his character. They wrote him pretty well, and while you can romance him, there's nothing really special about his romance. I mean, the only special thing is that you can do it with a bear. And that's kind of, you know, that's not for everybody, you know? Moving on, in 6th place is Jaheira. Now, Jaheira proves to be a great ally when you're in the city of Baldur's Gate. She's kind of like Halsin in Act 3. So you have Halsin for Act 1 and Act 2, and then it kind of shifts over to Jaheira in Act 3. So all of her dialogue, all of her interactions, all of her story stuff is in Act 3, and so you really kind of shift from Halsin to Jaheira in that druid role. I mean, they're both druids. So that's why they're around the same level, because Jaheira comes in late game. She's there for Act 2 and has a lot of impact with that, especially with the final battle at Moonrise Towers. And then she has a lot of utility when it comes to Act 3 in Baldur's Gate, when you can have all these interactions, you know, and you go on this thing with Minsc and with Nine Fingers Keen. So without her, it wouldn't be the same. A lot of quest lines on Act 3 would be kind of gone or ruined without Jaheira. And so that's why she's kind of in the middle, because it's more of a later game thing. But yeah, she is a well-written character. She has a strong personality, and while you can't romance her, she is a very valuable member of the party. And while you can't romance her, she is a very valuable part of the party and a valuable part of the story. All right, next up, 5th place is Astarion. Now, Astarion is just a fun character. I mean, he's beautifully dramatic and posh, exactly what a high elf noble would be, which earlier in the game can come off as insufferable. But his story is very tragic, with him fighting his inner demons and the trauma of being a lowly vampire spawn who's been abused his entire undeath. And it's just so sad to see his story. And like, when you really get deeper into it, it kind of breaks your heart a little bit, especially when he finally triumphs over Cazador. It's so heartbreaking to see he's just crying out when he's finally vanquished Cazador, and it's just, it really makes you feel for him. You know, I really feel for him at the end of the story, when he's, you know, on that path of redemption and on that path away from being evil and away from being his insufferable self. But yeah, he's a very well-written character and really well voice acted as well. You know, I mean, Neil Newbin does a great job on voice acting him, and I do think he has the best voice actor in the game. So that's another thing going for him. All right, after Astarion, we're in the top 5 now. 4th place is Minthara. Now, at first, she does seem like an evil drow who just does what she wants, is very independent, and goes after what she wants in an evil way. However, she does get some depth when you befriend her and put her into your party, and after you free her from the Absolute's influence. The depth of her character, it really gets more involved, and you learn about her history and her background. You know, once you free her from the influence, you find out that in a sad way, she just got ripped from her life and served the Absolute against her will. And so you really kind of feel sad for her in a way. Now, in the end, she is still an evil route. You know, she is very on a path of vengeance and self-driven, but overall, very well written character. Not to mention she's great in combat. I mean, paladins are fantastic to have in combat, especially if you don't have to worry about the roleplay aspect of it. If you just have them solely for their martial prowess, then you have it set there, you know? So having Minthara in the party is fantastic because you really only have to worry about her combat utility, and it's great to be a paladin. Now, top 3, third place is Will. Now, Will, he's just a sweetheart. He's just a very wholesome guy, very simple. I mean, he has a tragic story where he literally sells his soul to Mizora to save Baldur's Gate and then gets cast out by his father for it, for him not even understanding the situation. So, and he still even forgives his father after that. So he's just a very wholesome guy. He just does what's right. You know, he can come off as a goody two-shoes, but his romance is super wholesome, and he just wants the simple, happily ever after love story. And so it's kind of nice to have that kind of love story in a fantasy game, because most fantasy games kind of shy away from that. But it's kind of nice that they introduced that and put that into the game as more of a wholesome one, you know, where all the other ones is kind of just more about like Astarians and Lazels and Mintharas can be seen as more of a sexual encounter, whereas Will is very much the opposite, where he doesn't care about that at all, and you really can only sleep with him when you like get engaged. So I do like that about him, that they had that difference in romance, and so it just kind of adds to his character. But yeah, like I said, he can be a little bit goody two-shoes at some points, but you can really see his demons eating him up with his backstory and the fact that he's a reluctant warlock. All right, now in second place, the next one up is Shadowheart. Now, I personally don't have too much interest in romancing her, but she is very tied to the story. Her story is very involved with Shar and the artifact, all of this stuff. So she is very tied into the story. And so those main characters that are tied into the story, I naturally like them and want to put them in my party because they have so much impact on the story. And she does have a tragic story. I mean, with either a satisfying end with the good ending, or you can even have a satisfying bad ending, you know, where she takes over the Sharan temple and the House of Grief, and she becomes the leader of it. It's very satisfying either way, whatever path you're going for. And I really like that they do have those satisfying endings for her. Now, later in the game, she does have some more depth to her character, seeing as earlier on she can be difficult and she can be insufferable at the beginning with her get out of my business attitude and her blind devotion to Shar. It kind of just gets on my nerves sometimes because I just roll my eyes and I kind of shake my head about how do you not see these things? But overall, the more the story progresses and the further you get along in her story, the better she gets. And so it's like you kind of have to endure that little bit in the beginning to get to the benefit at the end. So now, in first place, my most favorite companion is Karlach. I don't have really too many complaints about Karlach. I mean, her story is touching. It's very tragic. It's very well written. I mean, being ripped away from her life, her family, to be basically a slave warrior for Zariel is so tragic and so sad to hear, and especially with like her engine and her heart and how that all ends. You know, the only complaint I have for Karlach is just the endings of her story. There's no satisfying ending. I mean, the best ending is when she turns into a mind flayer, and so her engine is fine, but she's not, I mean, she's Karlach, but not Karlach at the same time. I mean, she's a mind flayer. So, like, I hate that that's, like, the best ending for her. But yeah, her romance is very satisfying. She is honestly kind of wholesome as well. Like, she's just a super kind-hearted person who has been, like, thrown into the worst scenario possible. So that is my list of rankings for all the companions. I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you guys want to comment below and let me know your favorite or least favorite companions, please do so. I want to hear what you guys think about this, because I probably have missed things that might change my opinions. You know, like, I'm sure people are going to be like, oh, why'd you put Gale 9th and everything, you know, even though there's nothing wrong with him. So I want to hear you guys and hear your guys' rankings too. So feel free to comment below and I'll read through them and I'll comment back to them and we'll talk about it. So but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And again, let me know what you guys want to see in the future. I'm open to suggestions. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, all of that jazz. You know, anything you do will help me. And I really couldn't do this without you guys, so everything you do helps. But anyway, I hope to see you in my next video.